Welcome back, everyone. Ready for a deep dive into something, well, kind of different this time.
Always up for a challenge. What have you got for us today?
So I stumble across this self-published spiritual journal, and the title immediately grabbed me. Spiritual Journal, a preparation for the tribulation. I mean, talk about a conversation starter, right?
Wow, okay. Straight to the point. And that definitely suggests a specific worldview right from the get-go.
Right. It's like, buckle up. Things are about to get real. And the thing is, the whole journal is geared towards preparing for this, well, this period of intense global turmoil, this tribulation.
It's interesting how this idea of a coming tribulation has resonated with certain groups throughout history, particularly within Christianity, but also in other apocalyptic traditions. It speaks to a human fascination with end times prophecies, a desire to make sense of uncertainty and find meaning in the face of potential chaos.
And this journal, it really dives headfirst into that. But what I found fascinating is how it connects this, I guess you could say, almost apocalyptic worldview with personal spiritual growth.
Right, because it's not just about surviving the tribulation, it's about being spiritually prepared for it, which implies that there's a right way to approach this period of upheaval, a way to weather the storm, so to speak.
Exactly. And the journal is incredibly structured in how it guides you towards this kind of spiritual readiness. Like we're talking daily reflections, confessions, even sections on analyzing the music you listen to. It's intense.
Almost like a spiritual boot camp. It does make you wonder who this journal was intended for.
It definitely suggests a certain personality type, something drawn to that level of, I don't know, almost like spiritual self-scrutiny.
And a belief in the power of self-transformation, right? Because it's not just about passively waiting for events to unfold. It's about actively preparing yourself, both internally and externally.
Yeah, and that's where their whole definition of being good comes in. Because it's not just about, being nice or donating to charity. They see goodness as this state of being, almost like this spiritual purity that you achieve through very specific actions and self-reflection.
It's interesting how different cultures and religions define goodness. It's often tied to their core values and beliefs. So in this case, it seems, being good is about aligning yourself with a certain set of principles, both in word and deed, as a way to prepare for this coming tribulation.
And they're not messing around with the level of commitment either. The journal suggests setting aside a solid 2 to 3 hours each day for these practices. I mean, that's like a part-time job.
Right. It really highlights the seriousness with which they approach this whole endeavor. It's like they're saying this is not just a casual pastime. It's a vital undertaking if you want to weather the coming storm.
Exactly. And it's not just about, securing your spot in the afterlife either.
Yeah.
The journal argues that this being good, this active pursuit of spiritual purity, that it leads to real benefits in this life too. Less stress, better relationships, even improved physical health, they claim.
That's a fascinating claim. It implies that this process of spiritual purification has a ripple effect, impacting not just your internal world, but also your interactions with the world around you.
Totally. It's like they're saying, even if you disregard the whole, end time scenario, just dedicating yourself to this kind of rigorous self-improvement, it'll make your life better, period.
It's an interesting proposition. But before we unpack that further, I'm really curious to hear more about these specific practices they outline, because you mentioned music analysis, and that's where things get really intriguing. Because we're not just talking about like typical prayer and meditation here. They delve into some pretty unique territory, things like detailed confession, dream journaling, and get this, analyzing the spiritual impact of the music you listen to.
Seriously, they want you to dissect the lyrics, the melodies, the whole vibe of the music, and see if it's leading you towards, spiritual enlightenment or, I guess, the opposite of that.
Right. Like, is this music feeding my spirit or dragging it down? It's a fascinating lens to view something as subjective as music through, because it forces you to confront your own biases and really examine what values or beliefs might be influencing your taste in music.
And it's not just about identifying the bad music, right? They want you to actively seek out music that elevates your spiritual state. It's like they're saying music can be a tool, a very powerful one, for shaping your soul. So choose wisely.
Absolutely. It reminds me of how certain spiritual traditions use chanting or specific kinds of music to induce meditative states or enhance prayer. It's about recognizing that sound, even on a subconscious level, can have a profound impact on our emotions and even our spiritual well-being.
It's like they're encouraging you to become like a spiritual sound engineer, fine-tuning your sonic environment to create this optimal state of, I don't know, spiritual resonance or something.
Exactly. It's about being intentional with every aspect of your life, even something as seemingly mundane as your playlist.
And that intentionality extends to the inner world too, especially through dream journaling. They have this whole section dedicated to like not just recording your dreams, but interpreting them, analyzing them for hidden messages and spiritual insights.
It's fascinating how dreams have been interpreted throughout history and across cultures. In many spiritual traditions, dreams are seen as a way for the divine to communicate with us, to offer guidance or warnings.
Oh, totally. Like in ancient Greece, they used to have these dream temples where people would go to have these like prophetic dreams, and then priests would help them interpret them.
It speaks to this human desire to find meaning in the seemingly random and chaotic aspects of our lives. And to see dreams as potentially holding messages from the divine, well, that adds another layer of significance to them.
And they don't just leave you hanging with the interpretation either. Like they give you these specific questions to ask yourself after you wake up from a dream. Like, did this dream feel like a warning? Did it reveal something about yourself or the world around you? It's pretty in-depth.
It's like they're providing a framework for decoding your subconscious, for
Yeah.
uncovering those hidden anxieties and desires that might be bubbling beneath the surface.
Yeah, it's almost like they're saying, don't just dismiss your dreams as, your brain doing some weird stuff while you sleep. Pay attention. They could be trying to tell you something important, especially with all this, tribulation stuff looming on the horizon.
It definitely adds another layer to this whole idea of preparing for uncertain times, right? It's about being vigilant, both internally and externally, for any signs or messages that might guide you through the coming darkness.
Right. And speaking of confronting your inner darkness, we got to talk about the confession part of this journal. And I'm not just talking about, confessing your sins to God. This gets really specific.
Yeah.
Like they have you breaking down your weaknesses in detail, almost like a spiritual inventory or something.
It's interesting how different spiritual practices approach confession. In some traditions, it's a very formal process involving a religious authority. But in this case, it seems more like a form of self-reflection, a way to hold yourself accountable for your actions and thoughts.
It's like they're saying you want to achieve true spiritual purity. You got to be willing to get real with yourself, confront those shadows you usually keep hidden.
Absolutely. It's about acknowledging those aspects of ourselves that we might not like to admit to, but that ultimately hold us back from achieving our full potential, both spiritually and in our everyday lives.
It makes you wonder, like, what kind of person is drawn to this level of self-scrutiny?
Yeah.
And what impact does it have on them, especially with this backdrop of, impending doom and tribulation?
That's the big question, isn't it? Does this intense focus on self-improvement and spiritual purification ultimately lead to greater peace and resilience, or does it create a heightened sense of anxiety and a constant fear of falling short?
Yeah, it's like walking this tightrope between like striving for betterment and, constantly worrying that you're not quite good enough, not quite ready for what's coming.
Exactly. And it makes you wonder how this worldview, this belief in a coming tribulation, how that colors their perception of, well, everything really.
It's like they're seeing current events through these like apocalypse tinted glasses, right?
Yeah. In a way, yes. It's like they're looking for signs of the times, interpreting every natural disaster or political upheaval as further evidence that, the end is nigh.
Which is a whole other conversation, right? Like how belief systems can influence how we interpret the world around us.
Absolutely. It's like we all have these lenses through which we view reality, and those lenses are shaped by our experiences, our values, our beliefs.
So I guess the big question is, even if you don't subscribe to this whole, tribulation narrative, is there anything we can take away from this journal? Like, are there any universal truths here, even amidst all the apocalyptic prepping?
That's a great question, and I think there are. Because at its core, this journal, for all its specificities, it's really about self-awareness and personal growth. It's about identifying your weaknesses, confronting your shadow side, and actively working to become a better version of yourself.
All right. It's like that whole idea of, the unexamined life is not worth living.
Exactly. And while the journal frames it within this context of spiritual purification for a coming tribulation, that basic principle that self-reflection and intentional growth are essential for a fulfilling life, well, that resonates across cultures and belief systems.
Totally. Like you don't have to believe in a literal apocalypse to appreciate the value of, taking stock of your life, identifying areas where you want to improve, and then putting in the work to make those changes happen.
Precisely. And the journal's emphasis on practices like mindfulness, self-reflection, and even dream journaling, Those are tools that anyone can use, regardless of their spiritual beliefs, to gain a deeper understanding of themselves and their place in the world.
It's like, even if we don't share the same destination, so to speak, the journey of self-discovery, that's something we all have in common.
Exactly. And I think that's a powerful reminder that even within belief systems that might seem very different from our own, there are often shared values and practices that resonate on a human level.
It's like they say you can learn something from everyone, even if it's just what not to do. But in this case, I think there's a lot more to glean from this journal than just that.
I agree. It's a fascinating glimpse into a particular worldview, and it challenges us to examine our own beliefs and practices, to ask ourselves what truly matters in the grand scheme of things.
Well said. And on that note, I think we've given our listeners plenty to ponder today. Big thanks to you for joining me on this deep dive, and everyone listening, keep exploring, keep asking questions, and until next time, happy reflecting.